closing beat, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Not Monday. It is Tuesday. How you doing out there? Welcome to our show. It's a quick show that we do called The Closing Beat. We'll go over the stock market today, show you the good, the bad, and the ugly on the day. We've got a lot to cover today, so I will not waste much of your time. If you'd like to play a game, it's called Guess the Dow. Bottom right-hand corner of the page. You're welcome to take a shot. Tell me where you think the Dow is going to close next week. If you're the closest without going over, we'll send you a $100 gift card like our winner last week, Mr. Ron Arnold. $100 gift card on the way to you. This week, as you may know, every week we do classes for our customers, and they're on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We do them live, but they're all recorded in the dojo. And so this week's class is going to be going back to nest egg. We're going to go over the action items on the very different pages so you can see how to model different scenarios without having to change your entire plan. If you're interested, of course, we'll be there Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're playing a little extra thing here. Jazz song of the day. Let me know what your favorite jazz songs are out there. Come on, you like jazz, right? Everybody likes a little jazz. I'm going to go a little outside of jazz today. I'm going to go to Chuck Mangione, Feels So Good, right? It's like the one song that I can kind of play on that trumpet back there. If you're lucky, maybe one day. But, man, what a great song, anyways. The full version. You got to look up the full version if you're interested. What's your favorite jazz song? Let me know in the comments below. Also, hey, we did a video yesterday, even though the markets were closed. We talked about how to get kids interested in investing. And I kind of have a unique approach to this, but I went geeky for you guys so that you don't have to go geeky with your kids. I went as far as actually showing different correlations. We broke out some of the different positions and everything and how they may correlate to each other, why you would do things like this. So you might want to check that out on our channel. It's pretty geeky, I'll be honest, but it helps you maybe teach your kids without having to actually teach them. We want to trick them into learning. At least that's the presentation that I gave you there. Hey, anyways, the markets were lower today. S&P lower, Dow lower. NASDAQ did finish positive on the day. The NASDAQ was actually, NASDAQ and the Russell 2000 outperformed the S&P today. The S&P's been lagging behind here the last couple weeks. And all of it was I mean, we started lower. If you follow the futures markets overnight yesterday, we actually started the day lower in the futures market, but we started the day lower here in our regular session. Apple had some comments that they're reopening the factories, they're getting them ramped back up again, but they expect to miss their second quarter guidance, which they gave, and they expect the demand out of China to be lower naturally because of the coronavirus and everything. And this was a really good reason to sell the market today. You had a reason for the first time in a while. You had a behemoth company saying things aren't looking good. We're going to have to lower our guidance. And of course, stock markets and stocks in general are priced on forward guidance and forward earnings, right? So it was a good reason for the markets to sell off, although it really wasn't that bad. You would have really thought today could have been worse. At least I did. Anyways, overnight this dragged down China, Taiwan, Japan, India. A lot of the world markets were lower as well. Here's the S&P on the screen. You can see just pulling back a little bit today, still in the midst of a very, very high uptrend there. Obviously, very strong uptrend. You also had some other bad news out there. Moody's downgraded China's GDP. I believe they went to 5.2 from 5.8% with the numbers that they have, of course. Japan is getting worse over there in Japan, almost sliding into a recession. Their GDP fell 1.4%. So you had other news in the mix. Walmart missing earnings in a broad way. So you really had the chance for the markets to fall in a more aggressive way. But as we typically saw, if you look at let's say like a 5-minute time period, here's where the markets open in the regular session today. A little short attempt to move higher. We sold off all morning long, and then through lunch it just recovered. Typical market fashion there as it's done for so long. Nonetheless, we finished a little bit lower on the S&P for the day. The Dow lower, of course, but one of the weaker ones because of the Apple comments. And if you look at the Dow, so 163 points lower, about 20 to 25 of those points are going to come purely from Apple, moving the Dow lower. In the Dow, some of your stronger names was Walmart. Despite missing earnings, the CEO had some positive things to say. A lot of people optimistic about what they're doing going forward. A lot of cost-saving initiatives going on there. Really, I read a really interesting article, I believe it was on CNBC, about what the little things that Walmart does to save money. But because they're so big, a little change is like tens of millions of dollars. So it was kind of impressive. They shared that information in their investor day. If you want to read through some of that, I don't know how geeky you want to be, but if you want to check that out. Anyways, Walmart was one of the stronger ones in the Dow today. Microsoft being the other one, adding 1% on the day. Microsoft largely not affected by this coronavirus. A lot of the software stocks, of course, not affected so much by that. Hardware is where it's at. On the downside, you've got Apple. Was lower by 3% on the day. It finished lower by about 2%, so a little bit of a recovery there. You have ExxonMobil lower on the day, hitting 52-week lows as well, with price of oil just falling a little bit in the regular session. It's recovered a little bit since then. And then Intel. A lot of the semiconductor names were weak on the day, minus AMD. AMD was strong on the day, but Intel was one of the weaker ones in the Dow. In the S&P 500, you got a handful of things going on. Leidos was one of the stronger ones, 9% higher on the day. They beat on earnings. They raised their guidance there. Franklin Resources, oops, that's it, Ben is the ticker symbol. Finally, coming off 52-week lows. Remember, just Friday it was at 52-week lows. Today, getting a pop of about 7%. They're buying out Legg Mason, which is ticker symbol LM. There you go, $50 a share. So that stock was higher by 24% on the day. Franklin Resources, for the first time in forever, was one of the stronger names in the S&P 500 here today. Yeah, then you had Advanced Auto Parts. That was higher by 6% on the day. That's all going to be earnings related. Kroger, due to the position we talked about on Friday that Berkshire Hathaway took, $550 million stake in Kroger. Not a large position for them, but still decent. So the stock was up 5% as analysts kind of rushed to figure out what that means. Vulcan Materials lower, a couple month low here, actually down 7% on the day. That's going to be an earnings miss, revenue miss, just not good for Vulcan Materials. In fact, they didn't even change their guidance, actually. So stock lower by 7% on the day. ConAgra is going to be earnings related there. ConAgra, so I'm assuming that did the trick and we're all back. That was kind of weird. YouTube just said nope. So we'll hopefully that's kicking in there for you guys. It says everything is good. Yep, everything's good. Okay, ConAgra, basically I just mentioned the softer sales across all their brands. Hunt's, Orville, Redenbacher, Duncan Hines, Slim Jim, a lot of popular names in there. Stock lower by 6% on the day. Sorry about the little interruption there, whatever happened. You also had some... there you go. Semiconductor stocks lower on the day. Lam Research in the mix lower. Clack down 4%. AMD, like I said, was the only one that was positive. Semiconductor space, AMD up 3%. Looked really good there. And that's basically it there. Let's go over to semiconductors. We'll do our sector breakdown here. Semiconductors weak naturally on the Apple comments. And of course, a lot of the semiconductors get most of their revenue come from out of the States. For example, like Lam Research, LRCX, 92% of their revenue comes from international, overseas, not the U.S. And so naturally, they're going to take a bit of a hit as this coronavirus thing works its way through the system. Taiwan Semiconductors lower as well. It was lower in Taiwan's market as well. So that's the semiconductors. We'll go over to communication services, hitting new highs today, up about 0.5%. You got Facebook. Of the FANG names there, Facebook and Netflix leading the way. Netflix up about 2% as well, now officially making new highs after not being there for a while. So looking good there. You also had Twitter. You're looking social stocks there. Twitter had a 3% bump. Remember, it had a good earnings move, pulled back a little bit. Those people decided to buy that pullback. We've been kind of walking through that. And T-Mobile USA continuing to move higher, 3.5% on their Sprint deal. So the party continues over there. Regional banks breaking through. You see what happened today? We talked about this just the other day. We said, all right, you got an downtrend here. You've got a little bit of an uptrend, right? Whatever breaks first is where you're going to see the action. What happened today? Look at that wide range day as it broke. We gapped down underneath there, and sell orders trigger all at the same time. That is really, really cool to look at if you happen to check out that kind of a thing. So we talked about it, I think, like 3 days ago, 3 trading days ago. But anyways, breaking through that little downtrendy, pinchy kind of technical pattern there. You've got gold almost back to new highs there. In fact, the ETF, GLD, is back to highs. The price of gold higher by 1.1% on the day. Silver also strong as well. People saying, I don't know about this virus thing. I'm not totally sure. I've got some stats for you here in just a moment to share with you. I don't know why that happened. There's a ghost in here today. All right, so silver higher as well. You take a look at bonds. There we go. Over to bonds, you got about 1/3% higher today. That means rates moving a little bit lower today. That means, let's take a look, you got utilities hitting new highs as well. Interestingly, REITs didn't play along. They did finish at close to their highs of the day, but were largely weak throughout the day. So kind of interesting there. And financials, they moved back down to the 50-day moving average, losing about 1% on the day. Wells Fargo sticks out as one of the weaker ones there, right there. Wells Fargo had a bad day, down 2.5%. On the day. And that's basically your sector update. We covered a lot of stocks in there, so I won't go through them again. You've got Apple, the main headliner in the news today. Walmart, secondary headliner in the news. By the way, Walmart, unofficially, but like from a trader standpoint, that's the end of earnings season. From this point forward, a lot of the focus tends to be on retailers after tomorrow. And so you'll hear us talk a lot about retail stocks that are reporting earnings, but largely this earnings season is over from there. Advanced Auto Parts, I don't know, yeah, we mentioned them. Beat on earnings, missed on revenue. Store sales increased, but they only increased by 1.1%. We're expecting 1.2%. So it wasn't like a blowout crazy earnings for them. 6% though, not bad. Nobody paying attention there. And let's look at this one. Virgin Galactic, ticker symbol SPCE, clever ticker symbol. Blast off, right? Huge day today. In fact, at one point, I got like 7 emails on this one. At one point, from Friday's close to the high, it was up 35%. It finished up the day 5.5% higher on no news, nothing at all. Just people wanting to dive into this space. So that's what you have there. Tesla also had a good day today, up 58 bucks, 7.3%. Bernstein raised their price target to 850. The stock basically went right to 850. And you'll see, they basically said there's no negative catalyst on the horizon for them, so they raised the price target to 850. Morgan Stanley did raise their price target as well. However, they were at 360 and they went to 500. So they just said, okay, they don't believe in this stock at an 850 price point, but they went to 500 on that mix. And that's basically what you have there. We'll do some coronavirus stats here for you in a second. The S&P 500, you got 60% of stocks above the 50-day moving average. That brings us back to where we were last week. Remember, we went from 60 to 69 all the way back to 60, if you happen to be following that stat. So a little bit of deterioration in the short term, and of course, you can understand that today. You got 70 stocks in the S&P hitting new 52-week highs, although 28 of them were in the red. They actually closed negative on the day. So brief pop up there, and a lot of them faded throughout the day. You got that Legg Mason as being one of them from the buyout. There you go. Legg Mason, of course, you saw that, 24% higher on the day. Leidos, we already talked about that one. Kroger, we talked about. T-Mobile, we talked about. Newmont Mining was one that came into the mix. This is one of the stronger gold mining stocks, if not the strongest gold mining stock out there. 3.4% on the day. They did some acquisitions and stuff, so they're one of the bigger ones as well. I believe they're still one of the bigger ones. I don't follow that too closely, but they hit new 52-week highs. And then, of course, AMD. I just thought that was interesting. Great relative strength there compared to the semiconductor sector today. And Netflix celebrating the new highs after working its way for quite a while. That's 7-8 months almost working its way. And it wouldn't be right if we didn't mention one of the waste management companies today. It would be Waste Management, hitting 52-week highs again, holding the record for these two hold the record for the stocks that have hit 52-week highs the most amount of times so far this year, nearly every day. Very strong. On the downside, you only had 6 new lows today. You're going to have, MRO. MRO again, that's in the oil space. In fact, you have some of the, quite a few of the oil names that were on the list, half were on the oil list today. Noble Energy down 1%, that's one of the weaker ones. And ExxonMobil, just unable to get any bid here. Boy, if you liked it at 66, you'd probably love it here at 59, 60 bucks. But anyways, continuing to sell off there on the weak price of oil. And Under Armour, from their earnings and their sort of restructuring. Remember, they had the kitchen sink earnings. They just threw everything at you. They got a lot of work to do there, and apparently they're working on it. But shares trading at $15. Yeah, 15 bucks there. All right, here's some stats here that some of the analysts are looking at for the coronavirus. The rate of new infections has slowed to around 1% a day globally, right? So that the new infections is decreasing, although the headlines don't make you feel that way. Number of deaths sitting at 2.5% relative to those that have been infected with it. Recoveries are reaching the 20% rate, where everybody that's infected, you got 20% of them already fully recovered. And that's a number that's rising as well. China accounts for now 98.8% of all reported cases. So as much as this seems all crazy, 98.8% of all cases are in China, and 81.9% of those are contained to the Hubei province, right? So although it seems like this massively global thing, at the moment, those are the stats that I can share with you. What I'm interested in is North Korea. You notice how they've been awfully quiet during this one? You know? What's going on there? You mean to tell me nobody in North Korea has that virus? That'd be odd. You know, the border that's there? I'm just saying. I think we're going to hear some stuff about that as well. All right, yeah, we covered the Berkshire Hathaway position in Kroger. An interesting retirement maybe news there. If you like Mike Bloomberg, maybe this is a reason that you want to vote for him. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying Michael Bloomberg is trying to get your votes. He's obviously picking up steam. He's trying to get your votes out there. He suggested a public retirement option plan with a government match for those that have low income. What do you think about that? A public retirement plan with a government match, kind of like a 401k, but matched by the government. That should be a hot button topic. Enjoy the comments below. All right, I'll take a chance here and try to answer your questions if I can. I was trying a different screen here today. I don't think I care for it. I'm going to try to move this guy over. If you're watching us on YouTube and you have a question, feel free to post it in there. I'll see what I can do to try to answer your questions. If you're watching us on Roku, thanks. Enjoy. Oh, a lot of comment on the SPCE there, huh? Oh, boy. I've seen some comments on that where, compared to flu, but, headlines are headlines. Do you expect more companies to come out and lower guidance for the virus? Yes. Some of them already have. Carnival Cruise, Royal Caribbean, those that are largely in the headlines because of the virus. But you're going to start seeing more of this from semiconductor stocks, especially. Stocks that have a lot of international exposure, you're going to see those guys reporting as well. I think they're in the number crunching phase right now, and it depends if their factories are open or closed or running at half staff, whatever it is. So each company, yes, that's going to be the headlines that come out. And going into next earnings season, it will look to get even more clarity on that as well. Did I hear about the new high yield? They have a ton of them. If that's a brand new one, no, I haven't heard of it. They have a ton of them. BlackRock they're just like the ETF, crank them out. That's their deal. Yep. Oh, boy. I would agree. It seems like markets are somewhat bulletproof. Today, in my opinion, would have been one of those days if we closed at lows, you would no fault to the market. You'd say, well, look, Apple, look what they said, look what happened to Walmart. You would expect that would have caused some selling. Just didn't. I mean, a little bit of selling in the morning and then got a lot of people buying the dip there. That is, it's interesting. Even bad news from big behemoth companies ain't so bad. We'll see what happens. Harry, I'm going to attempt something, and I don't mean to ignore you, but YouTube has had some issues with me talking about that stock in particular. Somehow they figured it out. So I'm doing a test today. I'm not going to mention it, the name. I'm not going to say what that is, just to see if the algorithms pick up on this and if anything changes. I got like a little kind of a warning strike on that. So let's just test it and see. As far as that stock, as far as that stock, small bounce, and I'll continue to keep my assumption there. There's no need to try to pick the bottom of a stock like this. We need the tide to change. You need media sentiment to change. And right now, everybody just feels like the world is flooded with this stuff. And so I wouldn't be like getting super excited to jump all over it. Yep. Well, and sorry, I can't say her name, Marcelino. Yeah, you're right. At the moment, from a fundamental perspective, I have no interest. Yep. I have heard that as well, T. That the news over there isn't quite as maybe as accurate as what's happening on the ground. That's a common issue with China. I mean, it's just what it is. Hey, anyways, I think we've covered it there. I apologize for the little hiccup in the middle there, but it seems like everything worked out well. I will wrap it up there. We'll be back tomorrow to do this all over again, and I appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and we'll see you then.
Hey, wait! Before you go watch one of our other great videos, have you had a chance to see our new FinTips videos? They focus on one topic at a time, covering investing, personal finance, and anything that can quickly help you with your dough. Best of all, we'll keep it real short, because we know time is money.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.